we're doing today is we're going to go through, kind of look at how strong some of our hives are. If we need to pull some brood from some strong hives to give to some weaker hives, we will. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the hive and see if we can find any old frames that maybe are not really what we're looking for, as far as if they weren't drawn correctly, or if we've used old frames and swarm traps. A lot of these hives that we have were originally swarms, and so what we're doing is trying to find those old frames, pull them out, so that we can use those in swarm traps this year. So we got quite a few new foundations from Premier while we were at the North American Honeybee Expo. We'll pull a few frames out of here just so that you can take a look. Normally these top outside frames are going to be frames that are just kind of mostly going to be stores, honey, that kind of thing. We did put some sugar patty on this hive along with all the rest of our hives. It's completely gone by now, which is not surprising. We'll just kind of ease that on out. Now, interestingly enough, if you look on the back, there's wet nectar. I'm assuming that has to be coming off of maples, but the main point I'm making with that is that these bees are putting on weight rather than losing weight. And really and honestly, with the way that this weather has been, for me, that's a good thing. Now, one of the things I like to do, I always keep an extra bottom board in the box, so that I'm not setting my frames directly on the ground. I just kind of set it right through here whenever I'm doing an inspection before I put everything back together. I would expect that this frame is probably going to be mostly...
Okay.
Alright, so sorry about that. Kids had an emergency, had to grab them real quick, but this is the second frame. I pulled it out, and surprisingly, we have quite a bit of brood already up here on our second to the most outside frame. You can see their larvae. I'll try to see if I can get a good picture here in the sun on the bottom kind of corner there to your left. You can see the milk brood where it's just kind of white, that they're kind of going to be capping that off. Looks like they've been capping several of those off. The next frame, to me, looks like one we could potentially see our queen on. I don't know if she'll be there, but there's a lot of open brood. I am surprised with how much we've already got up here. It could be that there's not as much in the bottom. If it is, if that's the case, we'll switch everything around. But like, if you see right here, I'm trying to see if I see eggs or anything. Yeah, there are eggs in there, and there's a bee emerging right there. Right here, see, to you. Right here, there's a bee emerging from its cell.
I see that.
A little bit bigger. Something like that.
Wow, that's cool.
And see, this bee, this frame has eggs on it, which means that the queen has been on it. I don't know if she's still on this frame.
Want to show it coming out more, or does it need to go back in?
There she is. And so there is our queen right here. Here. Kind of got a little bit of a tiger stripe.
Can you point her out again?
Right there. The bees are kind of covering her up, but she's right there.
Oh yeah, I see her. Wow.
That's a good looking
pretty.
queen.
And what is the makings of a queen, so you can point them out and find them?
One of the things that I look for when I'm trying to find a queen is typically many of them have a little bit of a kind of more golden colored legs. Not all. Some of your darker queens will have black legs, but sometimes their legs will stand out more than, say, a worker bee. Their abdomen is elongated. The thorax, or the first segment behind the head, will typically be rather than having hair like you see in some of your other bees. And a lot of times, if you're watching the frames and just kind of paying attention, kind of back up for a second. A lot of times, if you're just kind of watching her as she moves across the frames, The other bees will kind of just back out of her way, kind of let her do her thing when she's laying. And these generally are pretty easy going bees. It's not the best day, it's been cool. It's still probably 60s right now, and they definitely don't like it whenever you bounce them like that. But my plan is, alright, so yeah, our plan is going to be to split these apart, because if I remember right, this was a swarm trap. Not even from last year, but the year before. And I believe there's some frames I would like to pull out of the bottom if they're not completely full of brood. I'm hoping most of our brood is going to be in the top box and not necessarily as much in the bottom box. If that ends up being the case, what we'll do, that's a very heavy box of bees. What we'll end up doing if that's the case is we'll pull these frames out that we don't want down here, and we will maybe even reverse the boxes. Put the box with most of the brood in the bottom and the box with less brood up top. Let's take a look and see what we've got going over here.
Ooh, that's some funky comb.
But it's not, it's actually,
Cool.
it's on the frame fine, it's just
Yeah.
not, but it's empty. They're not even using it right now. So this would fall into that category of something that we want to move up top, where the bees will have a little bit more room if they need it. Take a look and see what this frame's doing. Same kind of thing. You're seeing a lot of empty combs compared to what we saw a minute ago. So for me, this is a good reason to go ahead and reverse your hive. But I still need to find my frames that I want to remove. Now, what is that down there? That's our tree. Can't quite get it all the way out. Let's see. You'll see right here, this is one of the frames that I would like to remove, but I don't mind for it to be in a swarm trap. I'll show you why. If you look, this is pretty much empty, which is perfect. That's what we want. We don't have any brood in it. But all we did was cut some old comb. So there's from like an old cutout and use it to make a swarm trap, which is fine and well enough. But if you look, there's big gaps here. It doesn't fit together. It makes your whenever you're doing your checks on your hive, makes it much more difficult to kind of go through because the frames get all stuck together. But unless we start seeing a lot of brood down here, the plan is going to be to take that box, put it on top or bottom, put this up top with some new frames to replace the ones that we're going to pull out. Just get one out of here instead of the two that I was thinking.
Throw a little smoke my direction. Thank you.
Like I said, they've been open for a little while where we've been talking back and forth with kids. They're getting a little less than thrilled with us. We're stuck to something. There's just a little touch of brood here on the very top of the frame. You do have to be careful, unfortunately, whenever you have something like this going on before you reverse, because what ends up happening is you separate the brood. So you're more likely to end up with having some brood that doesn't, so like you have on a frame, if you have the top box that has brood, so if you have brood down here and honey up here, and then you reverse them, and now you've got an open space with brood up top, essentially it's going to go brood, honey, open space, honey, or brood. So you end up actually splitting them, and sometimes they can get chilled. So I don't know if we're going to do what I plan to, but I've got some plans. I think what I want to do is pull this out because this frame didn't look like it had too much going on. We'll get right here. All the intercone I can. And the way we're going to try to work with this is we're going to start moving frames of brood from our other box to the lower box and try to get all of our brood. So we're not necessarily doing a reversal, we're just trying to combine all our brood into one spot.
Forgot what it was like out here with them that close to us.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it got me a little antsy for a minute.
You okay?
Yeah. Took me a second to get. Plus, I don't have my hat on, so I feel like they're closer to me than normal.
This could be a frame that needs to come out. Let's take a look.
Will you smoke me?
Hang on just a second. We got this frame. Yeah, because here's another one. I knew we had another one here that we'd cut out. So what we want to do is shake all the bees off. This over here removed. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, there's a little bit of brood in this bottom box, but no more than what we got. I'm thinking about just going ahead and risking it and flipping it. I think I want to do it. So normally I wouldn't recommend you do it, but I've only got a little bit of brood that stands the chance of getting chilled. On top of, if you were to look at our forecast really shows that we're not going to have too many cold days coming up. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and install our new foundations for the two frames we're not going to replace or put back. And then what we'll end up doing is reversing these two hives. We should end up with, when we're all said and done, 10 frames. With two new foundations for them to work on drawing. So if the queen wants to, she can move up here and start working. So they are getting a little irritated. We've had them open a little too long probably, but just about done. And we will be done here with this particular hive. Take the boat over, put them to the side right now. We will smoke on our first box. Try to move all the bees down we can. Perfect. Smoke everybody off the lids. And that's it. We're pretty much done with that hive. We'll have to come back, like I said, possibly here in the next week or two. We got quite a bit of brood, but I think where I've got some empty combs up top, the queen should move up now, start laying into that area. She's now in the bottom box. instead of up top. And I believe that'll help give us a little bit longer before we start worrying too much about swarming. We've got some queens on order from the Koi Honeybee Company coming in May. We're going to get some. I've talked to treatment-free beekeeper out of Texas. We're going to get some virgin queens from him, and I'm hoping to maybe get some virgin queens from Corey Stevens before the year's out. So we'll keep you in touch for that. We'll start grafting probably here in another week or two, and then we'll start putting our own cells in our splits, and we'll kind of walk you through that process as well. Thank you.